Plymouth Township Planning Commission meeting will come to order at 7 p.m. If Secretary, please call roll.
Chairperson Sobalski.
Here.
Commissioner Barberina. Here. Commissioner Grieger. Here. Trustee Dorshevitz.
Here.
Commissioner Barry.
Here.
Commissioner Boyd.
Here.
Commissioner Ledwick.
Here. Okay, thank you. And I have no additions or deletions from the agenda. So is there a motion to approve as submitted?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina and supported by Commissioner Boyd to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And the motion to approve the minutes of March 27th, I have just one addition, minor, and that was with the motion on the last page that dealt with Citizens Bank, where we denied the painting of the building in white, but we approved the awnings. But the individual that was here, we're representing them, wanted to know if the red band that is currently on the building, could that still be repainted? And as I recall, we said yes. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can just add the red band is approved. The red band, the current red band on the building is approved for repainting. So with that, if there are no other changes, is there a motion to approve as amended?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina and supported by Commissioner Grieger to approve the March 27th minutes as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
I will abstain,
Okay.
as I
Very good.
was
Thank you.
absent that day.
And time for public comments for any non-agenda items. So is there anyone here that wishes to speak for 3 minutes on any non-agenda item? Okay. Next is application 2516, the adult small group home special land use. And Ms. Howell, if you would give us your report.
Yes, evening commissioners, thank you. The application before you is a special land use for an adult group residential home with 9 bedrooms. The subject site is located off of Joy and Canton Center roads in the northeast corner of that intersection. And it's zoned the R1S, one family residential district, where group homes for up to 12 adults are considered a special land use. So tonight we're having the public hearing, and it's a final decision with the Planning Commission. The special land use criteria are outlined on the following pages of our report. I'll briefly touch on a couple of these findings. First, under criteria 1, the intensity and scale of the use in comparison to the surrounding uses and conditions must be considered. I provided the narrative that the applicant sent to the township on page 2 of our report. It reads, we are proposing a small group home of approximately 4,600 square feet for senior citizens. The facility is residential in use for an R1S zoning district and will have 9 bedrooms with private bathrooms and essential workout area, kitchen, and eating area and sitting area. They did provide floor plans in their application materials for you to review as well for that layout. The design of the facility is to be residential in nature to fit in with the surrounding homes in the area. They also provided elevations of what the building would look like in their packet. Outdoor recreation, an outdoor recreation area is provided per the zoning ordinance and will be enclosed with a vinyl privacy fence. Parking and vehicular circulation is provided per the zoning ordinance, meeting those standards. The development is proposed on an existing residential lot just over 25,000 square feet and serviced by existing utilities. There are some mature trees on the south and east sides of the property that will be maintained, and the remainder of the site landscaped. We note that The proposed adult group home will be of similar scale to the surrounding properties and designed with a residential exterior character, as opposed to maybe a more institutional look that sometimes adult foster care facilities can take. The site is just over 25,000 square feet, which is double the lot size required for this district. So the lot itself is a corner lot that is twice as large as required compared to other residential lots in this district. So while the building has a slightly larger footprint than one might experience with a single-family home in the R1S, it is proportionate to the scale of the lot. All the required setbacks are maintained with this proposal, and the total lot coverage is only 18.3%, which is less than the maximum of 25%. So even though it's larger structure, the scale, because of the lot size, is in keeping in terms of massing.
Sorry to interrupt you, Laura. It's not, the materials don't seem to be in the online packet.
For which page are you looking for?
I'm looking for the McKenna report.
Oh, yeah, that report is not in there.
Okay.
There is an error with duplication of two reports for the
Okay.
PACE facility.
All right, it wasn't just me. All right.
But the plans, that you have on screen are available. We know that the facade materials are, again, residential in character, and they provided a uniform building appearance on all four elevations. So they've carried the same architectural treatments to all four facades. The building is proposed at 2 stories in height, and no garage is proposed. Another consideration under criteria 1 is the use consistent with the master plan? And on the 2015 future land use map, the site is designated as office. So as a residential use, this is not in conflict with this designation. It's less intensive. And then there's also the consideration of the impact of the use on natural features and the surrounding area. The site today is vacant. There are a couple mature trees, especially along Joy Road, which the applicant, with their design, intends to preserve. The second criteria is that the use is designed, located, and operated so that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. This is a residential use, and we don't anticipate that the general welfare of the area or the public would be compromised. Criteria 3 is if the site can adequately be served by public services and facilities. This project does not require changes in the capacity for public services. This is a developed lot in the township. Criteria 4 deals with vehicular circulation. As a corner site, Joy Road is considered a major thoroughfare per the township's master plan, and Canton Center Road is a collector road, so these are both not local roads. The single point of vehicular access is provided from Canton Center Road. That's where the driveway comes off, which is the preferred point so as not to add any congestion or to be too in conflict with the office driveway that's on Joy Road. There's a small parking lot that's provided with room for 8 vehicles. That's just to the west of the building. The applicant has designated landscaping on their site plan to shield the parking from public rights-of-way. This is a benefit that would not be required if the site were developed with a single-family dwelling unit. So if this were a single-unit home, they could have a looped driveway. No screening would be required per the township. Criteria 5 is the location, use, and assembly of persons in connection with the proposed use will not be hazardous or in conflict. Per the state of Michigan, the applicant is required to provide an outdoor space based on the occupancy of the structure. So with 9 individuals, the outdoor patio space must be 6,000 square feet. and fenced, which they have provided. This is east of the proposed home, so this would be between the proposed home and the parking lot to the dentist office to the east. It is also adjacent to the residential rear yard to the north, although it will be landscaped and fenced. Lastly, criteria 6 is, can the proposal meet the ordinance standards for site plan development? And the proposed site layout does comply with the required dimensional standards for the R1 district. They are not requesting any deviation. They do not need a variance for this project to move forward. So they're fully within the ordinance requirements. Our recommendation on page 4 notes that pending any additional information or recommendations presented during the public hearing, we recommend that the Planning Commission grant special land use approval for the adult group home at 8820 Canton Center Road based upon compliance with the special land use criteria of section 2.7, including but not limited to, the subject site is larger than other residential lots in the same zoning district, the R1S district, and maintains a lesser lot coverage than permitted by right. The subject site is located on a corner lot bounded by both a major thoroughfare and collector road to the west and south, and to the east is located adjacent to an office use. The subject site is not located in the interior of a residential block. The proposed site layout complies with the required dimensional standards of the R1S one family zoning district. No variance is necessary to accommodate this development, and the design and architecture of the building follows a residential character, both in terms of the materials, details, and scale of the building. Thank you.
Now, did the applicant submit a use statement?
Yes, that is provided in our review. In italics on page 2.
Page 2, under A?
Correct.
Okay, so that's what they submitted.
Yes. And then the site plan itself, that was just on the screen.
And is the applicant here? Yes. Oh, you would step up, and do you have a presentation?
Good evening. We see each other again.
Yeah, you look familiar.
Laura's report summarizes very well what we're looking to do. The use statement defines what we're looking to do with the site and the building. I don't know if you could pull the site plan back up on the screen.
I'm not sure. What, I do have, before we get into it, I have one quick question, is when you say modern, it said modern construction or something? Modern method construct, what does that mean?
Oh,
That's me.
this is Kevin O'Keefe. He's the developer, and that's his company.
Oh.
Modern Method
Oh,
Construction.
that's the name of your company?
Right.
Oh, okay, got it.
So a little history on this is we came here 7 years ago, had the property rezoned from office to residential, and he built the 3 homes to the north of the property, and has been trying to sell a home on the corner of Joy and Canton Center, which is proving difficult. So explored some different options on things that we could do, looking at the land use, looking at the residential, the office to the east, which it's an empty building now, but it was a union hall on the south side in Canton. Something that would be residential in character and less intense than like an office like the master plan calls for. So that's when we were looking. Kevin spent time talking to some different management companies about senior citizen small group home. And that's something that is in need. And he's been working with a company to develop that, and that's how we developed the floor plan that you see, the layout that we came up with, some private areas, public areas, and things like that. And then, of course, we wanted the outside of the building to match a residential district. So that was the design that we did. So as Laura called it two-story, I refer to it as more story and a half because we're building the quote-unquote second floor into the trust space, which is really just for the utilities, storage, an area for like a nurse to take a break or something like that that's separate from the rest of the building. So it would not have public access. It wouldn't be used for the residents. They're all contained on the first floor, no basement, slab on grade, a minimal parking lot that would actually have less use than most residential homes would have because we discussed this before, these types of facilities do not get a lot of visitors. And when the people come to work, they're there for their shift and then they leave. So you get, a transition, maybe 8 to 10 hours, in a given day. So that's what we're proposing for the corner. And as you can see, we submitted, a site plan detailing how we would improve that, the floor plans of the building, the elevations of the building, and, we're here to answer your questions.
So there's 9 bedrooms, and when I looked at the floor plan, I noticed, I don't remember now how many bedrooms can have 2 occupants.
The larger ones in the back would be for 2 occupants.
So how many occupants altogether in the 9-bedroom?
It would be, it would be 12.
12?
But I mean, if there was no, if they needed it as a single, it could be used as just a larger
Right.
single bedroom, right?
And
But like I said, there are some instances where husband and wife need to be together for a short period of time, and that's why we have some slightly larger ones. Again, there's no food prep in any of these rooms. It's a sleeping room and a bathroom, and then there's a common, kitchen that everybody would use or have maybe somebody come in and do the meals, depending on the situation.
And where do they take those meals?
So that area, the gathering area, there's an island there that could be sat at, or we'd have tables and some sitting areas in that open area by the kitchen.
And so what condition are these residents? Do they need nursing care, or is it just, they just need to have, some assistance from time to time, or can you
Some
describe
assistance,
what's?
right, so they wouldn't, they typically can get around themselves, they can walk, they might have a walker, but they may need a nurse to, say, dispense medications for them, or take their blood pressure, minimal things like that. They're not, what do I want to say, they're not fully convalescent or need convalescent care. They have the ability to function on their own. So nobody's got to put them in bed at night and get them up in the morning. They do all of that. But, meals would be provided and there'd be some nursing care. They could have a physical therapist come in if they needed something like that or things like that would be provided within the building itself.
So these are long-term residents, long-term?
No, short-term.
About how long? Just like as a rehab place, or, we're here for the use, so I think we want to better understand what the use is.
Some rehab in it. What would you say, 6 to 9 months probably on average? 6 to 9 month stays. Could be shorter, might be 30 days.
This requires some licensing from the state?
Yes, it will have to go through state of Michigan license.
And would people with any mental illness be occupying these? No?
No. You're thinking like dementia or things like that?
Not even dementia. I mean, there are people that have been, let's say, diagnosed as mentally ill, committed crimes.
Oh, no, there wouldn't be.
And then they go to a step down through their mental illness program and are often in adult supervised homes. And so that's why I asked.
Yeah, no, I think what Kevin's thinking for this is more of a higher end assisted living. So it's.
So why would people come here? Why would they come for 30 or 60 or 90 days?
Why wouldn't they?
Would they?
Why? Well, we think that the marketing is going to be like a home care B&B, where it's going to be a bit on more temporary for people that are on the mend that are going to need some.
So it's a rehabilitation.
So they can get back into their house is what we plan on marketing toward. Yes.
Okay.
So it's more of like a group home rehab center?
Well,
I'm
I
just
wouldn't
trying to
call
get
it
a grip on, I've
it could,
toured a lot of places like this, so I'm trying to get a gauge on.
I mean, it's a
how this
group
falls.
home and there could be rehabilitation services like that. It all,
Or they could go out.
Does
They
this
could, you know,
involve sort of like Medicaid assistance where it's a step down before they go back into their own home?
right. You know, so
So they're
you know, you
coming-
get, you know, maybe somebody gets in a car accident and they spend so much time in the hospital, then they gotta move somewhere where they need somebody to take care of them for a short period of time until they can be back on their feet and living by themselves. They don't have family in the area or nobody that can take care of them like that, so they come to a facility like this where they can mend, have social interaction with other seniors, and then once they've gotten themselves to a point, they would be gone and they would move back home again.
So is there a minimum age to come here? It says senior
Minimum
senior
age. What are we
citizens.
thinking, like 55 and up?
Yeah, I would think.
Probably something 55 and up, 60 and up. It would not be young adults, it would not even be middle-aged adults, it's seniors.
So seniors is defined as 50 and up?
Well, that would be me. So, you know, we don't want to be discriminatory,
Not
but
old
at the
enough,
same time,
Dennis.
you know, if
You're
you've
not old
got,
enough.
you know,
No,
a
I
bunch
know.
of 60-year-olds
I
in
was
there, you don't want to
thinking
put a 20-year-old in there, right? So, yeah, there will be some discretion as to who would be in there or not. And that would be typically worked through with the management company that works with the insurance companies and works with, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Do you have a management company?
He has been talking to one, yes.
So it's all speculation on what you're
Well, I can only,
proposing.
without approvals, I can only go so far. So I have to have my approvals for.
Yeah, we've actually visited several of these, Bloomfield, Farmington, and looked at, those were existing homes that were converted into senior assisted living. And I've done a couple in Northville for another developer where they converted the home into that. And those people actually prepared all their own meals in that, but it was a group home. It had to go through all the planning approvals for a group home, but it was an existing ranch home. This is the same kind of thing. So we're making provisions to have, and you know, maybe won't need to have a nurse come in. They might be able to be completely self-sufficient. That, you know, once we gain this approval and now he goes out and starts, he's already pricing up the building and everything and starts talking to the management company about it, we'll have a better idea of what that'll be. But we don't want anything that's, you know, 100% care, right? We don't want to, you know, mental issues or convicted criminals and things like that. We want, you know, senior citizens that just need help for a period of time to get back on their feet.
So where can we find a definition of what an adult group residential home is?
Right.
Yeah,
What is-
those are in the township zoning ordinance.
Sorry?
Those are in the township zoning ordinance.
Yeah,
And,
do you know where?
I think it's under elderly housing. It's under the definitions, Article 36.
Yeah, I
But this
think
is-
these are the kind of issues that need to beef up the use statement, because the use statement is only a sentence or two, and then the rest of it is what you're providing. Where I think we're, at this point, interested in knowing what goes on inside that building. What is the building being used for?
We were given a list of things to answer, and that's what that
So that's
statement
what the
was
statement is.
generated for, to answer those questions.
Yep.
Okay.
The one important thing to note is that this is a state of Michigan licensed residential facility, and they distinguish between the number of individuals in the facility and whether it's child or adult. So the state does not make they don't distinguish between adult and senior. So what they are applying for with the state is what they have applied for with the township, and that's how we also define it in the township's ordinance, is the adult residential group home up to 12 individuals.
18 and over.
So Laura, could this also, if it doesn't work out for the type of use that they're explaining, could it also be used as a rehab home or one for sex offenders or my daughter volunteered at such a place where it was a step-down place, I think you call it, from maybe another facility until they can be on their own. Could this change to that type of use without coming back to us?
It would have to be licensed by the state of Michigan, but if it's a group home, then yes.
So this could be other types of group homes. If we agree to this, it could become other types of group homes than what we're thinking of as senior living.
Yeah, a group home is a group home.
Yeah, so that's where I'm confused, because it falls under the definition of a group home because it's not a rehabilitation facility, but it's a group home. Is there a distinction between the two?
Let me pull up the ordinance. I think you're close, you're not in the definitions.
I got it.
I don't believe the definitions describe rehabilitation. Residence for 12 or fewer unrelated adults.
So it sounds like we're saying that if we agree to this, that really any group of 12 adults that are unrelated could live here
Correct,
for any reason.
correct.
We cannot, can I say, be more
Specific.
specific as to ages and the use? I mean, are we,
I think you'd really have to be careful with that because this is licensed by the state of Michigan.
Is
So-
there-
I'm sorry, things about,
State of Michigan's definition. Do we have that?
if you were concerned about like outdoor lighting or additional screening or something of that nature, I think that is what the local control has over, but the state requires that this be allowed in residential districts.
Are there, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but it being so close to 3 schools, like the high school, elementary school, middle schools,
Well, there's your sex offender problem. They can't live there. They're too close
that's what
to
I'm
us.
getting at.
Yeah.
So like just for some, I guess, peace of mind that it couldn't become certain types of group homes. Is that correct?
Yeah, unless the state of Michigan changed something.
Bennett, do you have anything to add on this discussion?
Yes. Adult foster care facility is defined by the zoning ordinance as a residential structure licensed by the state of Michigan to provide room, board, and supervised care, but not continuous nursing care for unrelated adults 18 years or older in accordance with the Adult Foster Care Facility Licensing Act as amended and the Adult Foster Care Administrative Rules. The Adult Foster Care Licensing Act does provide for a definition of adult foster care facility, MCL 400.703, subsection 1, or pardon me, subsection 3 defines adult foster care facility as a home or facility that provides foster care to adults. Subject to section 26A1, adult foster care facility includes facilities and foster care family homes for adults who are aged, mentally ill, developmentally disabled, or physically disabled who require supervision on an ongoing basis, but who do not require continuous nursing care. It specifically includes a nursing home, a hospital for mentally ill, an infirmary, or a child care institution. So there are some parameters that are defined by state law, what comprises an adult care facility.
You read back the sentence before that again?
Definition of adult foster care facility? Is that what you'll?
The sentence before your last sentence that you read.
I'm just going to read the whole provision. Adult foster care facility includes facilities and foster care family homes for adults who are aged, mentally ill, developmentally disabled, or physically disabled who require supervision on an ongoing basis, but who do not require continuous nursing care. It specifically does not include a nursing home licensed under the Public Health Code, a home for aged people licensed under the Public Health Code, a hospital for the mentally ill, or a facility for developmentally disabled operated by the Department of Health and Human Services, and a county infirmary or a child caring institution, children's camp, foster family home, or foster group home licensed under a different act.
Those last ones were excluded?
Yes, those are specifically excluded from the definition of adult foster care facility.
Kevin, when it says adult foster care, does that imply that these individuals are wards of the state?
It does not.
Okay, like if they were children in foster care,
Yes,
they're wards of the state.
they could be.
They
yes.
could be.
Yes.
Right, but these are not. These
They're
adults are
adults.
not. Right, they're just using the term foster care.
Right.
Okay.
Adults can sort of be wards of the state too. I've had experience where people have been convicted of pretty serious crimes, but are determined not guilty by reason of insanity, called NGRI patients. And then they are eventually can get on what's called an ALS contract, okay, alternative leave service contract, where they go to a step-down group home because they're determined that they've gotten to the point where they can, start to take care of themselves, hopefully take their medications and that sort of thing. But they're not always successful, I'll just say that.
Laura, earlier, I thought you said something to the effect of the state law prohibits us from restricting a facility like this in a residential area. Can you repeat that? I want to make sure I understood you.
The state legislation requires that communities allow for residential facilities with up to 6 residents in zoning districts to treat them the same as a single-family detached home. That's a state requirement. This is a facility with up to 12, so it's a small group adult foster care facility. The state still requires that you allow that in residential districts, but you can dictate that it be a special land use, recognizing that it may not be appropriate for every residentially zoned property in the community, which is why in the review we discussed things about the massing, the size of the lot, the fact that it is larger, meeting the dimensional requirements, that this would not necessarily be an appropriate use in the middle of a residential block, and the state realizes that and allows for it to be a special land use. But given the site conditions and location, we do feel this would be acceptable and in line with what the state has laid out for communities to follow.
So given that, could we say no?
I would not recommend it.
Even though it could be really anything, any 12 residents?
Yes. The reason the state has qualified housing like this is because they do not want to see it be denied, right?
Yeah, people got to live somewhere.
So Laura, if this plan, say, falls through for whatever reason, the house is built, it's not, feasible to continue, is the house, could it retain back to a single-family home?
Of course, yep, they're still meeting all the standards for the zoning district.
Would there be room for a garage?
Yes,
Okay. With our locals, with our general standards, they could still build the garage?
definitely.
And when it said that the parking is on the west side of the building, does the building face Canton Center or Ann Arbor Road?
The main entrance does face Canton Center Road.
Okay, so the 8 parking spots are in the front of the building, or the house? The facility, I should say.
Just so you know, back when we had the property rezoned, one of the requests was that we only use Canton Center Road to access those 4 lots. So that's why it
remember.
faces Canton Center, not Joy, because too much traffic on Joy to put another curb cut in.
Well, Laura, wouldn't you suggest in this use statement, because as I said, there's only like a sentence or two that describes the use, the rest is what they're providing as far as a building goes, that we reference under what provision of the state?
In your findings of fact,
Right.
I don't think you need to reference their use statement in terms of the finding of fact.
Because it really, the sentence only says, we are proposing a small group home of 4,600 square feet primarily for senior citizens.
Right.
And the rest
that's
of
their
it is
intent.
describing the facility.
Yes. But there's no other narrative to describe the special land use. They don't have hours of operation. The employees that they've accomplished that with the parking. They've met the dimensional standards. They've designed it to be architecturally compatible with the surrounding residential in terms of materials and massing. Their lot coverage, their outdoor area. They provided the sidewalks.
About the sewer system, I know we got the email from the one resident concerned about the sewer system.
Yeah, we're going to get into that when we will. Well, it doesn't even say how many seniors could be in there.
Because it's a state licensed facility, it's a maximum of 12 individuals.
So it's governed by, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess this is all, what you're saying is that all that they need to say is that first sentence.
Pretty much. I mean, the rest of it kind of describes the plan that they've provided. It is a little different because it is so regulated by the state of Michigan. It's not, it's different than a religious institution or a recreation facility, other special land uses that we've reviewed. But they've tried to provide some context.
Do you have anything else you want to add? What we would do is just open up for public comment and see what residents have to say, and then call you back up to answer any questions that they may have raised or the commission.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. With that, we'll open the public hearing at 7:38, and as referenced a minute or two ago, we did receive one letter from the public, and if you can just summarize it.
Yes, this email was from Ashley Smith, who's a resident who is concerned about the property that we've been mentioning, that the intersection is a little confusing and it doesn't meet at a normal 90-degree angle, and it's a very busy intersection. And then there was concerns about sewers of the other 3 properties that back up into basements. And then also, there was a company lined up to run the facility, and they're afraid that it would decrease their property values.
Okay, with that, you can come up and have 3 minutes to speak your comments, your concerns. Just sign in at the podium, and we ask you to be clear, concise, cogent, and civil.
All right, hello everyone. I am one of the houses immediately to the north of the property. We did experience sewer backup as a result of the pipes that were laid for those 3 houses. It was March 30th of 22. The city has it all on file because they actually came out and assessed the issue there. So I believe that the sewer system that was laid for those what would be 4 residential homes is not sufficient to handle 12 adults in a residential home there. The fact that it's backing up with not even a home on the first lot is of great concern to me. I have a 16-month-old little girl, and I would sell my property immediately if this is passed. We can't have that amount of traffic that I think it would incur with people coming and going. And as you mentioned, I didn't realize it would be short-term. That means you're gonna have people moving in and out potentially every 30 days. And that just seems like quite a headache. I know there was also one of my neighbors had the police come out and put the radar speed up there. People fly down Canton Center. I'm sure you guys know Canton Center, the dirt road. People are going 50 miles an hour down that. The last thing we need is more traffic and more people coming out and pulling out right on that corner. I might propose the parking lot go off to Joy instead of to Canton Center if it's going to be a in and out, or attach it to the dentist parking lot. So there's only one entrance to a parking lot. Those are my main concerns. Thank you all.
How long have you lived in that house?
Since 2020, so this will be our 4th year there.
And how many times has the sewer backed up into the basement?
It's backed up one time severely. The other times were minimal. We were able to just clean it up a little bit. But the one time the city did come out and said, you know, remediate everything, we got one of those little letters. But
Was it just water that backed up, or was it actual
it was
sewage?
actual sewage. Yeah, you guys can go back to the planning. There was swells in the sewer pipe, and it was denied a couple times upon approval. It had failed the building inspection a couple times before we were able to move in.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yes, just come on up.
Can you ask them to state their names too? Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ed DeRose, and can you put a picture of the lots back up there? All right. See that house right next to that lot? That's my house.
To the
And-
north of that?
Pardon?
To the north? Because there's a.
To the
demo.
north, yes.
Okay, all right.
So when I built this house, I was expecting another house with just a normal driveway coming off Canton Center Road. Now, I was not expecting to have a parking lot sitting right next to my house. I think what makes more sense, if we're going to do this, is to put the parking lot in the back next to the dentist office. Because there's a parking lot back there anyway already, so having the parking lot next to the dentist office just creates still that residential look for the rest of us, while not impeding us with a parking lot in the front of all of our houses. And plus, like she said, the traffic on Canton Center Road at that corner is horrific, especially when school is going on and stuff. So if the driveway came off of Joy Road, that would certainly take some of the pressure off that corner from Canton Center Road there.
Okay, how long have you lived in that house?
I moved there in June of 2020.
And have you had backup problems with your sewer?
I have not had the sewer problems, but I'm at the beginning, not at the end.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we will close the public hearing at 7:44, and if the applicant could come back up. So I will ask our consulting engineer just to make mental note of what was said about the sewer backup, and if we do move forward with this project, perhaps you can cover that in future reports that you would put together and provide a history of what the problems might be, and are we making it worse?
Yeah, first time hearing about this project,
Right.
so, but we definitely will look into it, and, yeah, if it goes through, we will make sure to evaluate the sewer and everything.
Laura, does this go to site plan review?
Because it's a single-family detached home, it goes through the building department.
Okay, so we won't see this again.
I'm a little surprised to hear about sewage backing up, because I thought we had two separate lines for sanitary and stormwater. Maybe you might have to look up what exists there. I don't want to put you on the spot without having
If you could pull the
opportunity.
site plan I did up, it has it on there, it shows it.
I mean, there is a 24-inch sewer along Joy Road, and then there's one, an 8-inch also serving those 4 properties. So I think that one might be the one that's causing the issue, but we will have to look. Yeah, the 8-inch is shown there. But we'll have to see if that will be the one that's causing the issue.
Because you're going to increase the number of bathrooms. I'm assuming there's going to be 9 or more. You'll probably have a some kind of bathroom for the staff. So
Now that sewer was designed and put in and approved by Wayne County. It did have some issues when they were putting it in. They had to take it out and redo it. But it was approved, inspected, approved, and backfilled, and that's the first we've heard of it. So that's something that does absolutely need to be looked at. It goes all the way to the north property where there's another manhole, and it was, believe it or not, sized to be able to go continue north and capture other properties. Not that we ever think it would, but that was what it was designed to do.
If those go through the building department, they usually will require them to review the lead anyway. So we will review it then.
But we could tap directly into that manhole that's on the property right by the building.
Yeah.
Well, we're not engineers here, so that's going to be a problem that you have to work out and satisfy
certainly
our
be.
consultants that this problem is not going to be made worse.
Yeah, if they didn't look at it, I've dealt with this on homes, and we have the line scoped, and you find out maybe there was a belly or there's a crack or something like that, and you go in and fix it.
So we're getting a little bit into the site plan, we're here primarily for the use, but do you have any reaction at this time about relocating the parking for the staff?
Well, I highly doubt we could get a ingress-egress easement with the dental office to use their driveway, and they would then lose parking in order to give us a driveway. Plus, we would then be going through existing fence and existing landscaping and everything that's there. There's, again, when we had this rezoned, it was requested that we not go to Joy Road. Hypothetically, let's say we did. My guess is the county's gonna tell us right turn only. So what are people gonna do? They're gonna turn right and then turn right on Canton Center, and you're not alleviating anything, except now you're adding traffic on Joy Road. So, we were, as part of that rezoning, that Canton Center was gonna be the way in and out of these 4 pieces of property. And we needed to keep the driveway as far away from Joy Road as possible, so hence that's why it's as far north as it is. So, we were adhering to those stipulations when it got rezoned 7 years ago, I think it was.
Also assuming it was going to be another single-family residence as opposed to this use.
Yeah,
Right.
and that whole corner at that time was zoned office.
Right.
And it just made way more sense for it to be residential. But again, trying to put a house on that corner is proving very difficult.
Yeah,
A single-family home, I should say, a single-family home on that corner. Whereas we thought this would be a good buffer from Joy Road to the residences, to the office, again, to the east. Believe it or not, it really doesn't generate any more traffic than a single-family home in terms of coming and going. And we can't have 24-hour nursing care because we are limited to 12 people in the building. Not just 12 residents, 12 people in the building. So if we had a nurse staying there, it'd be 13, and that would not follow the zoning ordinance.
So there won't be anyone staying there overnight?
Just the residents. So that's why, it won't be 24/7 supervision.
Would it be possible to design the parking behind the building with access from Canton Center Road, though? I mean,
Right now, we have the building all the way to the south setback line. So I believe there's only just under 18 feet between the building and the north property line. So that's not wide enough to get a driveway in. But then we also have to have the outdoor area as required by the state of Michigan. So that behind the building made the most sense. So therefore, it just made to keep the parking lot as small and tight as possible and have it in the front of the building to minimize the amount of asphalt, the amount of paving.
And landscape around it.
And landscape around it.
So there won't be anyone there in the evening. Well, what happens if there's some kind of an emergency?
There can be, but they're not staying there. They're not there for a 24-hour cycle where they're sleeping there also.
Right.
No, I'm talking about staff.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about too. So
So,
staff,
okay,
staff
so-
can be there for an 8-hour shift all night long, yes. But staff isn't there for 24 hours, sleeping
live
there
there,
for 8 hours.
Oh, I see. It's staff are present 24 hours.
Yeah,
It's just not
staff-
the
right.
one, right, okay.
and that's
Well,
why
I
we-
would expect
So it's
that.
not like some group homes where there's actually people that are not
That are living
residents of the
there.
group home that live there as well?
Correct.
Okay.
So staff does not live there?
Correct.
Well, we had the public hearing, but
I just have a question. Are they assuming that none of the residents are gonna have any vehicles?
Typically, no, they do not. If the individual can drive, they really don't need this facility. So they can live at their home and drive themselves wherever they need to go. This is for people that can't necessarily drive themselves. They got a broken leg or broken ankle or hip or something like that, and they need help for a period of time.
So you had mentioned that you might have food brought in. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
So is that going to, do they bring in a truck with the food, or how is that handled?
So it could be one of two ways. I mean, some residents may want to cook their own food, so there could be provisions for that. Other residents could order from, say, a given menu of food, and then the ingredients would be brought in, and they could either prepare it themselves or could have somebody come in and prepare the meals. And then once they're done, they leave.
Like Kroger Deli, or,
So they could get like DoorDash to bring something in?
Yeah, that would not be restricted at all.
But there's only the central kitchen, correct?
Correct. No cooking in any of the rooms.
Laura, I have another question. For the building department, are you part of that process, or is it strictly the building department?
If anyone were to just build a single-family home tomorrow, that's not something the planning department reviews. It's outside of our purview. They have plan review specialists that look at that. If there's anything that they have a question on, they will send it to our department to look at. So in this case, with the landscaping to make sure compliance, the fencing, maybe the parking lot, that's something that they would send up and confirm in writing with an email.
Thank you.
Questions or comments from anyone on this?
Am I understanding that correct, that we really don't have a choice?
It sounds that way. I mean, I'll ask Kevin, do we have a choice in this matter, or what alternatives?
What the ordinance states is that the planning commission is to make specific findings of fact with respect to the criteria set forth in section 2.7 that Laura has gone over. If the commission finds that the applicant has met the conditions set forth in section 2.7, the commission must grant the special use. If the commission finds that the conditions set forth in 2.7 have not been met, the commission may reject the application.
Thanks. Okay. Well, what's your pleasure, or?
May I make a suggestion? If the commission finds, as a matter of fact, that the conditions set forth in section 2.7 have been met, may wish to qualify the approval by limiting the use to adult foster care facility as defined by Article 36.2.5 of the zoning ordinance and the Adult Foster Care Facility Licensing Act, MCL 400.701 et sec.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with that.
Can you say that again slower, please?
What if I pass this down?
Thank you.
Even better.
That is as distinguished from a group facility?
This is the definition of adult foster care home as stated in the zoning ordinance and as stated under state law. However, I am not given any advice that this is a fact-finding issue for the commission. It's not a legal issue for the attorney, so I'm not taking any position on that.
Understood.
Understood.
Excuse me, if we, like say, we want to go ahead and approve it, is there someplace along the line? My concern is that they're claiming Wayne County has, approved the sewer line, but they didn't approve it for 12 people living 24 hours a day at the end of it. So if, that's my concern. So is there a point that someone else in the process that can say, whoa, we need to have Wayne County approve it? Because it's based on, I mean, if you look at a septic field, that's based on the number of bedrooms, not the number of bathrooms in a home.
One of the criteria set forth in section 2.7 is the use is designed, located, and proposed to be operated so that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. And another one is the use will be adequately served by public services and facilities without diminishing or adversely affecting public services and facilities to existing land uses in the area. Those two are both specific conditions set forth in section 2.7 that the commission, if it wants to grant approval of this, must find that the facts support those two criteria.
So we have a neighbor of that property that's already experienced it. Is that a proof enough, or do we have to have proof from the applicant that it's clear?
Well, the applicant will have the burden of proof.
Okay.
I think that would be the chief concern for many of us about sewer, because that's a lot of flow coming out now, not just from a single dwelling house.
That's a concern for me. I'm also looking at criteria number 4, The vehicular circulation for the proposed use will be in the best interest of public health, safety, and welfare. Based on the testimony we've had here in the public hearing, suggests to me that at least the way it's currently proposed with the parking lot in front and the driveway on Canton Center Road, there might be a better alternative, which would be to put the parking lot in back and have the access off of Joy, understanding that there's traffic issues with both, but I'm not sure that criteria 4 is fully met.
That may get complicated, because you're talking about a curb cut off of Joy that now brings the county in. That might get complicated.
Well, I understand, but
We originally approved the rezoning for that lot, for that parcel with access on Canton Center Road. That's how it was approved.
But again, it was approved with the understanding it was going to be a single-family home, and this is, different.
Well, one correction with that. When it's rezoned to the R1S, all of the uses in the R1S district need to be considered. So when the Board of Trustees is looking at that rezoning, they're not just looking at a single-family home. They're looking at any of the potential uses that are listed in the code today that could potentially go there in the future. So that is built into the understanding.
Okay.
So is the parking lot, is that the size of that parking lot governed by ordinance, or is it overparked?
If the applicant wanted to scale the parking lot a little bit, I believe they could, because it's the ordinance requires 1 for every 4 beds, plus the number of employees.
I'm not sure how many employees you're having at any given
We
time.
figured at any given time, 2 max. So that's what we use to generate where we got the count. I think there's a parking calculation on the drawing. There is a parking calculation on the drawing.
One per every 4 bedrooms plus employees. And they have 8 spaces.
How many spaces?
8.
So would you have to have handicapped accessible spots per se, or just have some spots larger?
Well, we have one dedicated barrier-free space, and then next to it, a wider than barrier-free space that could be used as such. So that size parking lot only requires 1 space. And I just did a little bit of looking to see what the capacity of an 8-inch sewer line is. And 50% capacity is about 200 gallons a minute, which is a lot at 50% capacity. But again, that's something we'll work with engineering and make sure that, it's not going to cause a problem.
Laura, just so I'm clear, criteria number 4, what you're saying is that when those lots were rezoned to R1S, the zoning assumption is for all types of R1S, including
Special land use.
special land use. So
Correct.
therefore, that would not be a reason we could deny this.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I do think that it's within the commission's purview, though, that if you wanted to request a smaller parking lot, given the feedback that you've heard from the adjacent homeowner tonight, that you could request that the applicant eliminate a spot or, as many as you preferred. You could also request that the driveway be shifted slightly to the south on Canton Center to give some additional space on the northern property line for the adjacent homeowner, and request that there be landscaping. I mean, the applicant would need to respond to that, but that's something that within the purview of special land use that you could require.
Thank you.
And as for the sewer capacity, you could make that a condition of approval going through the building department. I mean, infrastructure can be sized appropriately. It's just a matter of making sure that happens at the same time with this use, right? So those improvements can be made.
So would we just say like improvements to the sewer line?
Yep, as required by the Township Building Department in Wayne County.
Laura, regarding the parking, we're sitting here as I'm looking at it, we could take the whole parking lot without reducing it. That way we're still within ordinance requirements and shift it down to create enough of a green belt that we could put landscaping along the north side to help shield it.
Yeah, I don't.
We were just trying to keep it away from, we're trying to keep it in front of the building and not encroach in that setback on Joy Road, but as you can see, we've got landscaping there and a bioswale, and that can all be shaped any way we want it, so we could shift it down to put some landscaping along the north property line to help shield the driveway and that parking lot from Ed's house.
Ed, what do you think?
Yeah, I just don't wanna be looking out my front window and all I see is a bunch of parked cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would help.
You know, I don't think anybody that's living in a residential area expects to have a parking lot next to them in their front yard.
Yeah, we're trying to address that concern as much as we can. Any other concerns or comments, suggestions? Are we ready?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant special land use approval for the adult group home / adult foster care facility by Article 36.2.5 of the zoning ordinance and the Adult Foster Care Facility Licensing Act, MCL 400.001 at 8820 Canton Center Road, based upon compliance with the above stated land use criteria section, special land use criteria section of 2.7 of the zoning ordinance, included but not limited to A, the subject site is larger than the other residential lots in the same zoning district, the R1S district, and maintains a lesser lot coverage than permitted by right. B, the subject site is located on a corner lot bounded by both a major thoroughfare and a collector road to the west and south. And to the east, is located adjacent to an office use. The subject site is not located in the interior of a residential block. C, the proposed site layout complies with the required dimensional standards of the R1S one-family zoning district. D, no variance is necessary to accommodate this development. E, the design and architecture of the building follows a residential character, both in terms of the materials, details, and scale of the building. And furthermore, that the applicant will shift the driveway further south, limit parking to, how many spaces? Try to limit parking to 6 spaces?
6 spaces.
6 spaces to the south, will landscape between this parcel and the parcel to the north, and improvements to the sewer line will also be approved by Wayne County and Plymouth Township. Did I miss anything?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina and supported by Commissioner Dorchevitz to grant special land use to application 2516, subject to said conditions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, good luck. Next, application 2519, Pace Industry Expansion. And Ms. Howe, your report.
Yes, thank you. This is located nearby off General Drive in the Gould Industrial Park. Pace is looking to expand their operations at their facility by adding some additional warehousing space. They would be demolishing an existing office structure that's kind of at the north west corner of their property or of their building. In order to accommodate this one-story warehousing addition, they need additional interior office space or interior warehouse space for their equipment. In general, they do meet the site plan requirements of the ordinance. One of the things to note is on page 2, when this building was originally constructed, the rear yard setback was less than what's required today. So the building is non-conforming, but it's a legal non-conformity. That setback has increased by 10 feet. They would like to continue the building line to match with this warehouse addition and keep that 30-foot. So because we cannot find a variance on record or the verification that the building was constructed to that approved lot line, we note that a variance would be required for that rear yard setback, but that this approval could be conditional upon them receiving it. It seems like there's appropriate grounds to move forward with the application. So we're comfortable recommending approval, and if they needed to revise their drawing and did not receive their variance, then they could come back. In terms of replacement trees, this is on page 3. They will be removing 5 trees in order to accommodate the expansion. They do note the amount of inches that will be removed, 35 total. But we do need some additional information on the species and how those 35 inches are dispersed among the 5 trees that are being removed, just to ensure that that calculation is correct. So that's something that we're recommending be provided on a revised plan for administrative review. In terms of their landscaping, they are adding more than what's required by the ordinance as part of this, and doing like a refresh to their building entry. No change to the site circulation is proposed. They are adding, however, areas for snow storage within their parking lot. Additionally, they're doing some new walkways and ADA ramps to the building, the new building entrance. Because of the warehouse addition, they do require some additional parking. They're showing that as 28 land-based parking spaces, which we support. We understand that this addition is largely for the storage of outdoor equipment and just requires a great deal of floor space. But they have enough parking for their operations today. They also meet the loading space requirements. In terms of the building addition, elevation, the facade, it will match the existing metal siding and CMU base wall, and will be consistent in color with what exists today. They are adding a dumpster enclosure, and we just note that a detail of that enclosure must be provided. It's likely not going to be visible from the right-of-way from General Drive, and the site backs up to the railroad, but we still need that confirmation. So that is another item that we recommend for administrative review. So with that compliance, except for the variance, we do recommend that the Planning Commission grant tentative and final site plan for the industrial warehouse expansion at 9070 General Drive, contingent that the applicant receive that variance and that a revised site plan is submitted which details the replacement tree species and size and provides the detailed elevation of the dumpster enclosure.
Thank
And there's
you.
also the engineering and fire reports.
Right. I was just going to ask for the engineering report.
Good evening. We have received the site plan submittal for the 9070 General Drive Warehouse Addition Project, prepared by Novak and Fraus Engineers, dated March 15 of this year, and received by our office on March 20th of this year. Our letter is dated April 17, and the following are our comments. Construction of a proposed one-story warehouse addition located at 9070 General Drive on the east side of General Drive. Site access will be provided by an existing shared drive with 9030 General Drive on the west side and an existing drive of Gold Industrial Park. It is noted as 3.68 acres total area. A vehicle turning plan around the proposed parking lot for garbage trucks and fire trucks will be required to confirm that the new building addition and proposed dumpster enclosure can be accessed. Water service will be provided by an existing 8-inch extension from the existing 8-inch water main along the south side of Gold Industrial Park. An existing domestic lead and fire lead serve the building. We want them to show and label the existing water service and fire suppression line. And we recommend to follow up with the township fire marshal to determine whether existing building connection is acceptable and hydrant coverage is consistent with the current fire prevention code. Sanitary sewer service will be provided from the existing 8-inch sanitary sewer on the north side of Gold Industrial Park, and existing sewer lead serves the site. We also want them to show and label the existing sanitary sewer lead. And at engineering stage, we will require them to inspect the lead. Any reuse of any existing sanitary sewer lead will require inspection, and it will need to be televised and submitted to the township for review and approval. This will be done at required engineering stage. Storm water will be collected by a single storm sewer collection system and discharged to a proposed on-site underground detention system with outlet to a Wayne County drain number 1. Please provide at least 10 feet clearance from the edge of the sewer to the proposed building. Also show and label the limits of the 20-foot drain easement for Plymouth Township, Wayne County drain number 1, and provide record of the document if available. And also confirmation with Wayne County Department of Public Services will be required to confirm that no additional detention capacity and stormwater pretreatment will be required on site, and that the proposed storm sewer system can be connected to a county drain number 1. Based on the comments stated in our site plan review letter, we recommend approval of the final site plan with all additional comments being addressed in the engineering review stage.
Thank you. And the applicant has received the communication from the fire department. No deficiencies have been found from a public safety perspective, and the applicant is here. Come on. Do you have anything to present, or?
Nope, just to answer any questions. I'm Ben Crable. I'm with Medora Building Company. We'll be the general contractor. And this is Sean Hill. He's with Pace Industries for any questions on their
Can you
operation.
speak into the mic, please? I can't hear you.
Down here. Repeat the whole thing? Or?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
because we want to make sure it's on the recording.
Yeah, so I'm Ben Crable. I'm with Medora Building Company, and we'll be the general contractor on the job. And this is Sean Hill on behalf of Pace Industries.
So are there any questions from the commission?
Questions?
Can you just tell us why the expansion? Is your business increasing, doing well, or?
We're a lawn power equipment distributor, and the 2 brands mowers that we keep in that facility are growing. We take care of 7 states in the Midwest, and so the 50,000 is now too small for us. So we're just going to expand that out to go with our other buildings on Mill Street.
Are you adding any additional employees, or?
Sorry,
Are you adding any additional employees?
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry, who's hard of hearing?
I'm sorry, my
Yeah.
new hearing aids.
Yeah. Additional people, will you be employing additional people?
Employees.
There'll probably be 2 more inside there.
Good. Okay, well, if there are no questions, did a great job on
Thank you.
on your documentation. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, based on compliance with the zoning ordinance, Number 99, I recommend that we grant tentative and final site plan approval for the proposed industrial warehouse expansion at 9070 General Drive, PC application 2519, contingent that the applicant receive a variance for an extended rear setback and that a revised site plan is submitted which details the replacement tree species and size and provides an elevation of the dumpster enclosure and the items in the engineering and fire department reports.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina and supported by Commissioner Boyd to grant tentative and final site plan approval to application 2519, subject to said conditions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appreciate your investment in the community.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to application 2504, the St. John's Towns PUD site development plan. And Ms. Howe, your report.
Thank you. So as you recall, this is the St. John Towns residential planned unit development that is off Sheldon Road. It's approximately 8 acres that's being taken from the golf course and will consist of 72 three-story attached townhomes. The applicant was last before the commission in November, where they presented their site development plan, their site plan, and some revisions were requested from the different departments. And as far as planning goes, they have addressed those items. I'll briefly walk through some of those changes that we note in our report. So the first is on page 3. They have provided the signalized crosswalk at Helm Street, so this will allow pedestrians to cross Sheldon and head north or south. In lieu of providing the pathway or boardwalk on the east side of Sheldon Road going north, the applicant has offered a $100,000 donation to the Township Sidewalk Fund for future connectivity across the community. An 8-foot pathway would still be installed across their site frontage on Sheldon Road. In terms of their architectural design, there were just a couple outstanding items that they had addressed since the last review. One of those being revising the exterior of some of the building facades to eliminate the external stairs so that more of the units themselves could be accessible units. The building code for this amount only requires that 4 are accessible, but by making that change, 30 of the 72 units will now be accessible for future residents. So that is a benefit in our eyes. They have increased slightly the open space on the site. It's just over 4 acres, so now it's 51% of the site will remain as open landscaped area. They have also added a pedestrian seating area kind of overlooking the wetland in the southeast corner of the site. In terms of tree preservation and replacement, based on what they are removing, 577 inches are required to be removed. They are proposing to exceed this amount now by 614 inches, which is above and beyond the ordinance requirements. Those are some of the key changes that they've made. There are no concerns with the fire department either for this project. They've addressed those. So based upon compliance with the ordinance and in alignment with the PUD option that was originally approved for this project, we recommend that the commission grant final site development plan approval for the St. John's Towns PUD. Just as a reminder, since this is a PUD, it will still need final Board of Trustees approval with the PUD contract. That would be at a future meeting date.
Thank you. And our engineering report?
Good evening. We received the site plan submittal prepared by Adwell, dated April 4th, and received by our office on April 5th, or letters dated April 17th. As mentioned by Laura, they address all the concerns we had regarding the proposed utilities layout and the traffic circulation within the site. There's one comment that we did not include in our letter, but we want to mention, is that this came from the Township's Department of Public Works, is the Township will not allow the proposed water stop box configuration under the floor. Taps at the main for each dwelling unit will be required engineering stage. Other than that, we don't have any other concerns, and based on the comments stated in our site plan review letter, we recommend approval of the final site plan with the inclusion of the water service comment being addressed in the engineering review stage.
Okay, thank you. And the applicant has received a communication from the fire department with some comments, no deficiencies from a public safety perspective, and the applicant is here.
Good evening, Joe Score with Pulte Homes, Michigan. So we've worked with the township consultants and of course listened to the feedback and the comments that this planning commission has made. Several months ago, we've made changes to the plan in our proposal. We believe that they're improved, or it's improved, and those changes have benefited the plan. And at this point, we're just happy to, answer any questions you may have.
I think, did you have some comments?
Yes. On your tree plan, and Bob, I don't know if you can bring up page 31 of the packet from the applicant. I wish that we were able to save more trees, but there is one tree in particular I had a question about.
Okay.
And I actually want to ask you, Laura, first, is a black walnut, is that considered a heritage tree? If it's is that a desirable species, undesirable species?
I don't think it's considered. Let me just confirm that.
There is one, according to your site plan, it's tree number 5870, and it is a black walnut with a 50-inch diameter breast height. And it appears to be, there's a unit, it's on the west, I'm sorry, it would be the north border. It appears right in front of unit number 67, looks like. And my question is there any way you could consider saving that tree, either by not building that unit or moving that unit to the next group of buildings to the north and leaving that space open?
I mean, we'd have to look at it. I would, again, without looking at it, I can't answer the question, but starting to shift the configuration of buildings and adding units and taking away, I mean, that obviously there's consequences.
Understand.
And so I wouldn't be upfront with you. I think it's unlikely, but I'm happy to take a look at it. We always want to save trees, but it's a challenging site, but I'm happy to take a look at it.
Yeah, I understand there's a lot of reasons, but
Sure.
just if you could just look and see if there's an opportunity.
Not a problem whatsoever. We'll do that.
I looked at, while we're on landscaping, I looked at it. I think the landscaping is very well done, especially I looked along the frontage on Sheldon Road, the entrances now you have facing Sheldon Road. So I don't think, just correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you were trying to screen those townhouses, but it seemed like you had a lot of flowering ornamentals and things like that. Is that what your purpose is, or is
In terms of the purpose of
Well,
just a robust
screening.
landscape plan?
Right, because there's a lot of screening
Yeah.
toward the east side of the parcel, but not so much in the front. I'm not advocating one or the other. I just want to make sure what was the.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at it. Matt, do you have any, Matt's with Atwell Group, our project engineer, any comments on that particular area relative to the landscape plan?
I just want to know, was the purpose of the landscaping along Sheldon to screen, or was it to provide a, well, I think is a nice leafy floral kind of?
Sure, so we planted trees at pretty much everywhere we could. And so we were putting some trees in between sidewalks there. That area immediately on Sheldon in front of those, it wasn't necessarily to screen those units, but provide just a nice kind of landscape there wherever we could. We've got sidewalk from coming each of the building units there, and we've got a couple other things like storm sewer to deal with. So we planted where we could. In the areas where we had more ability to plant, we planted more robust landscaping. In areas where we had to deal with infrastructure, we planted where we could, so.
Yeah, I did note that it was a lot of robust planting, especially interior, where you have the, I don't know what you call them, lawn areas or parking areas, trying to soften the pavements that are there and the garages.
That was the intent.
Any other comments or commentary?
I would just say that I think your elevations are substantially improved.
Yeah. Well, are we ready to make a motion for a recommendation to the board?
I have a couple questions first.
Okay.
Commissioner Boyd, what kind of tree was it?
Was on the tree survey, it's number 5870, and it was a black walnut with a 50-inch diameter breast height.
What was the number again?
5870.
Okay, thank you.
And Laura, do we make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, or do we approve it?
You can approve the PUD site plan tentative and final.
Okay, we do an approval, okay.
Yeah.
And then for the engineer, what was the additional comment we were to add?
Oh, yeah, the water service. So they're kind of, the proposed water Starbucks configuration just needs to be changed.
Okay.
Yeah, you can, I would just say that.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move that based upon compliance with the Township Zoning Ordinance number 88, including the adjustments made to the site plan since the first review in November of 2023, I recommend that we grant final site development plan for the St. John's Towns PUD. And given the items in the planning report, the engineer and fire department report, and that the water sub-box chaser be approved by the township engineer, and that the applicant look at saving the black walnut number 5870, which is 50 inches in diameter.
Kendra, did you say grant approval? I think you might have left approval out.
Okay, that we grant approval of, yep.
I want to just make sure that that language is in there.
Grant approval.
I have a question. I don't want to interrupt you. Without understanding the engineering comment, without seeing it, I'm not sure what it is. So we're happy to look at it or do what we need to do, but again, we're kind of a little bit blind up here because we haven't seen the comment and I'm not sure what the township engineer is asking for. So I wouldn't want to be, I don't want to, I guess it's a little difficult for me to go forward without knowing what that is. I'm not sure what the impact
Rather
is.
that we table it until.
No, I just would like to know what it is. I would expect it to be on the review.
I think as long as he meets
Yeah,
to the satisfaction of.
We're happy to work through it with
As long as you meet to the satisfaction of the engineer.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we're happy to work through it with, like we do on every job, and including this job for the last several months. I just would like to know what the extent of it is personally. Yeah.
You two can.
That's
get
great.
together
That's
and-
fine.
So you want to leave the motion as it stands then?
Just change it that he meet to the satisfaction of the township engineer.
I can live with that.
They could, pardon, you like that?
That's fine. That's
Oh,
good.
Okay.
Well, we make the motion, though, not the applicant.
No, I know, but he doesn't want us to, he doesn't really want us to base it on that without having an opportunity to look at it. What, can you explain what this does?
It just affects the water service.
Okay.
You are showing it right now. It's a 2 service in a 2-inch lead, and then you connect to each building. The Department of Public Works don't want that.
Okay.
They want to tap at the main.
Okay.
So all, you would just have to change the water service layout. It doesn't really impact anything in your building or utility-wise. It's not a change for us that it will cause an issue for you. It's
Okay.
more at engine, do you understand?
I do. I'll defer to my.
That helps a lot.
Okay, so you understand that? Okay. Okay, then we're okay with the comment.
Should I rescind my motion and start over? Or
It's up
should
to
we
you,
go
you're
ahead?
making the motion.
That is making it simple here, trying.
We're watching how you handle this kind of.
Yeah.
Exactly, you know, if anyone else wants to jump in and do this, that's
You're
fine.
doing a
that's
great
fine.
job.
Trying hard, I'll give you that. I mean, I think the motion's fine.
Is there a second?
I'll support.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Barberina and supported by Commissioner Grieger to approve application 2504, subject to said conditions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck on the
Thank you.
project.
A lot much.
Okay, next is our monthly report. I have two questions on the monthly report. One I've asked before, but I want to keep on top of it. And that is, has the final stamp or approval, whatever you want to call it, been granted to the Buddy site for those arborvitaes that are now about 2/3 dead?
No, there's still a bond.
And how long can that continue? It's been like a couple of years since I sent the first pictures.
That's at the determination of the applicant. They have to pay for an extension.
Has that happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So it's a financial transaction.
Okay. I don't know, can that be put on the report?
Thank you.
You know, or you don't go into that level of detail?
It's not something that the planning department maintains, that the building department
Oh, I
maintains
see.
those bonds.
Okay.
So that's part of their administration of the department.
And then the second one, I've asked this question too, but frankly, I kind of forgot where we left it. So that deals with the Elks development. Remember the historical marker?
Yes.
And can you refresh my memory where we were with that? I got my historical commission hat on now.
Yes. I did have a meeting with them maybe 2 months ago, or about then, and brought it up that is still a condition of their approval. And they said it's on their radar. So they're doing the infrastructure right now for the Spine Road. They're looking to start doing the basements for the townhomes in June, maybe July. So I think as they kind of get some of those foundational things squared away, but it's on their like building department ticker, so they won't get a C of O until those items have been addressed.
So will they be contacting someone at the historical, Wendy or someone over there to?
I think they would contact our department first, and then we would route them through once
Okay.
they're ready to
Put
kind of
something
take it
together.
on. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it's not forgotten.
Okay, I didn't think it was, I just didn't know where we were with it. All right, anyone else with questions?
I have a question. Anything happening with the Amazon Fresh?
They continue to do interior modifications to it, but as we understand it, their timeline is really far out. So it's still happening. So it's going to be a while.
Okay, so nothing else is talked about going in there besides the
no.
Amazon Fresh?
Yeah, correct. Still Amazon Fresh.
Okay, thank you.
On the Elks development, I think I've asked this question before, but again, I can't recall the answer. What is the timeline for them to begin doing the improvements to the subdivision to the north of the roads and the curbs and sidewalk?
That timeline I can't speak to.
Timeline for what?
The roads to
The
the north.
roads that were going to be improved for the.
They're gonna pave
beyond the
those
north
roads.
access to the Elks
East Side
Park.
Drive and.
Furwood. There is a timeline. I don't have in front of me, I can't speak to it.
I guess I'm just, would the work be done by the time the development actually is open for business, if you will?
It's supposed to be, yeah, for sure, yeah. But,
Laura, could you tell us about our agendas for the May 8th and May 15th meetings?
yes, May 8th, we're gonna be discussing housing for the master plan, and May 15th, right now, we're probably gonna have maybe a couple signs, and we have a special land use extension for the facility that was attached to CompuWare, that self-storage and RV facility off of 5 Mile, that really long, thin parcel. There's an extension request for that, but so far, no public hearings for the May 15th.
Wow, what's that
Okay.
like?
When is the deadline to get on the agenda?
I think it was the 15th, if there was gonna be a public hearing for noticing requirements. If someone submits like a sign next week for the art district or something, we'll put them on the agenda, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, is there a motion to adjourn at 8:41?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn at 8:41.
Is there support? Moved by Commissioner Barberina, supported by Commissioner Boyd to adjourn the meeting at 8:41. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
Thank you.